The massive ships of the Nix Collective emerged from quantum space like obsidian shards cutting through reality itself. Their arrival cast strange shadows across Earth's orbital satellites, momentarily disrupting global communications as their quantum wake interfered with human technology. On the bridge of the flagship Eternal Night, High Commander Lyra studied the blue planet below with 6 gleaming silver eyes, her crystalline exoskeleton reflecting the stark lighting of the command center. "Another primitive world," she observed, her voice carrying the harmonic resonance characteristic of her species. Preliminary scans confirmed they've barely achieved lunar exploration. No quantum shielding, no consciousness amplifiers, not even basic neural networking. The bridge crew, all members of the Collective's elite subjugation fleet, maintained their positions with practiced efficiency. They had performed this operation countless times across hundreds of star systems. The Nix Collective had built their empire by identifying developing civilizations and incorporating them before they could become potential threats. "Deploy the Mindweave," Lyra commanded. Standard subjugation protocol. The Mindweave was the Collective's ultimate weapon, a quantum-engineered psychic network that could overwhelm the consciousness of entire species. It had never failed in 3 centuries of conquest. The technology worked by synchronizing with the basic neural patterns present in all known sentient life, turning that consciousness against itself until submission was the only possible outcome. Across Earth's major population centers, hidden Nex vessels took position in the upper atmosphere. Their presence was masked by gravity-bending fields that made them invisible to both human technology and the naked eye. At precisely coordinated moments, they activated their Mindweave projectors. The bridge crew watched their monitoring screens, expecting to see the familiar cascade of neural surrender, billions of minds falling into synchronized submission. Instead, the readings showed nothing. Humans continued their daily activities, completely unaffected by the most powerful psychic weapon ever created. "Impossible," First Officer Venn whispered, his crystalline form vibrating with confusion. "The Mindweave is operating at full capacity. They should be experiencing total neural collapse." Lyra's outer carapace shifted colors, displaying her growing concern. "Increase power to maximum. Focus on their largest population centers first." The Nix ships redirected all available energy to their Mindweave projectors, targeting major cities across the globe. The power output was enough to have subdued a planet of warrior-bred Centaurians. Yet the humans remained unaffected, going about their lives without the slightest indication they were under attack. In New York City, people hurried through their morning commute. In Tokyo, night markets bustled with activity. In Lagos, street vendors called out to passing customers. Not a single human showed signs of the mental domination that should have been inevitable. "High Commander," the chief science officer approached, her movements betraying agitation. "We're detecting something unusual. The humans appear to be generating some form of neural interference. It's not technology. It's coming from their minds themselves." Lyra turned all 6 eyes toward the scientific displays. The readings defied everything the Collective knew about consciousness and neural patterns. Where other species showed predictable waves of thought and emotion that could be manipulated by the Mindweave, humans displayed chaos. Their neural patterns were wildly individual, operating on frequencies that seemed to shift and change from moment to moment. "Bring me more data," Lyra ordered. "I want to know everything about their neural evolution. How did they develop such resistance? What makes them different from every other species we've encountered?" As the science teams began their analysis, reports started coming in from the surface teams. The Nix had deployed covered observation units, synthetic constructs designed to blend in with local populations. Their reports painted an increasingly disturbing picture. Humans appear to operate on multiple levels of consciousness simultaneously, one report stated. Their minds can hold contradictory thoughts without resolution. They dream while awake and rationalize while sleeping. Their neural patterns suggest they're capable of believing in things they know aren't real while simultaneously maintaining perfect awareness of reality. Their creativity appears to be unrestricted by logical constraints. Another report detailed. They can imagine possibilities that have no basis in their experience or knowledge, yet they can translate these impossible thoughts into real-world applications. Lyra studied the reports with growing unease. The collective had built its empire on the predictability of consciousness, on the fundamental rules that seemed to govern all sentient thought. But humans appeared to operate outside those rules entirely. High Commander, Ven interrupted her thoughts. We're detecting increased activity in their military installations. Some of their more sensitive instruments may have noticed our gravity distortions. They're beginning to realize something is wrong. Lyra's carapace shifted to the deep purple of tactical consideration. The Mendweave had failed, an unprecedented situation that threatened centuries of collective doctrine. Their entire conquest strategy was built around psychic subjugation. Without it, they would be forced to engage in conventional warfare with a species they barely understood. Pull back the surface teams, she ordered finally. Maintain orbital position, but withdraw all ships from the atmosphere. We need to reassess our entire approach. As the Nyx ships retreated to higher orbits, Lyra gazed down at the blue planet with new respect. In all the collective's history, no species had ever completely resisted the Mindweave. The humans hadn't just resisted, they hadn't even noticed the attack. Their minds were fundamentally different, operating outside the established laws of consciousness that governed the known galaxy. Send word to the Collective Council, she commanded. We've encountered something new, something that could change everything we think we know about consciousness itself. The humans aren't just another primitive species to be conquered. They represent an evolutionary path we never imagined possible. As her orders were relayed across quantum space, Lyra continued to watch Earth rotate below. The collective had come expecting an easy conquest. Instead, they had found the first species in known space whose minds were truly free. The question now was, what would humanity do when they realized they weren't alone in the universe? And more importantly, what would they do when they discovered their unique power? The research vessel Quantum Seeker drifted in high Earth orbit, its sensor arrays collecting vast amounts of data about the planet below. In the ship's primary analysis chamber, first researcher Nera moved through holographic displays of human neural patterns, her crystalline form reflecting countless colors as she studied the impossible readings before her. 3 weeks of observation, she muttered to herself, and every answer only leads to more questions. The chamber's walls displayed a real-time visualization of human brain activity across different population centers, a chaos of colors and patterns that defied all known models of consciousness. A communication pulse announced High Commander Lyra's arrival. The commander's form had taken on the deep blue of scientific curiosity as she entered the chamber. Tell me you've made progress, researcher. The collective council grows impatient for answers. Nera manipulated the holographic displays, bringing forward her most significant findings. The humans are impossible, Commander. By every known law of neural evolution, they shouldn't exist. Look at this. She highlighted a particular pattern of brain activity. Their consciousness doesn't operate on a single frequency like every other species we've encountered. It's multidimensional, operating on multiple levels simultaneously. The display showed a human mind engaged in routine activity. Unlike the ordered, predictable patterns seen in other species, human consciousness resembled a quantum storm, layers of thought and emotion interweaving in ways that should have resulted in complete neural collapse. Here's a human engaging in what they call daydreaming, Nara continued, pulling up another scan. They can maintain complete awareness of their physical reality while simultaneously constructing entire fictional scenarios in their minds. They don't just imagine these scenarios. They experience them emotionally while remaining fully functional in the real world. Lyra studied the displays with growing fascination. How is this possible? Every species we've encountered evolved along similar neural pathways. Consciousness follows universal laws, or at least we thought it did. That's just it. Nara's form pulsed with excitement. We've been operating under the assumption that consciousness evolves along predictable lines. But humans, they're what happens when consciousness evolves under constant chaos. She brought up a new display showing Earth's evolutionary history. This planet has undergone multiple extinction events, dramatic climate shifts, constant geological upheaval. Most importantly, humans evolved alongside numerous competing species, all fighting for the same resources. Their minds didn't develop in response to a single set of environmental pressures. They had to adapt to constant change. And this explains their resistance to the mindweave. Lyra asked, her outer carapace shifting colors in thought. The mindweave works by imposing order on consciousness, by synchronizing neural patterns to a dominant frequency, Nara explained. But human minds don't operate on any single frequency. They're in a constant state of controlled chaos. Trying to synchronize them is like trying to freeze a quantum particle. The very act of observation changes the outcome. Across the chamber, more displays showed humans engaged in various activities. An artist painting an impossible landscape while carrying on a conversation about economics. A scientist developing theoretical models while listening to music. A child creating an elaborate fantasy world while solving mathematical problems. Their creativity isn't just a function of their intelligence, Nara continued. It's a fundamental aspect of how their minds work. They don't just think outside conventional boundaries. They don't perceive conventional boundaries at all. Every human mind is essentially operating as its own quantum computer, processing multiple realities simultaneously. Lyra absorbed this information, her crystalline form reflecting the gravity of its implications. The Council won't like this. The entire basis of our expansion relies on the predictability of consciousness. If humans represent a different path of neural evolution, it's worse than that, Nara interrupted, bringing up new data. We've detected signs that human consciousness is still evolving, and at an accelerating rate. Their exposure to technology, particularly their global information networks, is creating new neural pathways we don't yet understand. They're adapting to complexity in real time. The chamber fell silent as both aliens contemplated the implications. The Nix Collective had built its empire on the assumption that consciousness followed universal laws, that all sentient life could be understood and therefore controlled. Humans didn't just challenge that assumption. They shattered it completely. There's something else, Nara added, her form dimming slightly. We've detected unusual quantum resonances in their art, their music, their literature. When humans create, they're not just producing cultural artifacts. They're generating quantum-level changes in their environment. It's subtle, but it's measurable. They're affecting reality itself through their creativity, and they don't even realize they're doing it. Lyra's outer carapace shifted to deep violet, the color of profound concern. Are you suggesting their consciousness is quantum-enabled? I'm suggesting their consciousness is quantum-entangled with reality itself, Nara responded. Their chaotic neural patterns aren't a bug. They're a feature. They've evolved to exist in multiple states simultaneously, just like quantum particles. The mindweave can't affect them because, in a very real sense, their minds exist in multiple realities at once. A new alert drew their attention. The displays showed increasing human activity around military installations. Despite the Nix's advanced cloaking technology, humanity's more sensitive instruments were beginning to detect anomalies in orbit. They were starting to look up with greater purpose. We need to make a decision, Nara said quietly. Traditional conquest is impossible. Their minds can't be controlled. Direct conflict would be unpredictable. We have no way to anticipate how they might adapt and respond. And now we know their consciousness itself might be capable of affecting reality in ways we don't understand. Lyra studied the images of Earth below, her 6 eyes reflecting the blue-green marble of humanity's home. Perhaps, she said slowly, conquest was never the right approach. We've discovered something unprecedented, a species that represents an entirely new path of conscious evolution. The question isn't how to subjugate them. The question, Nera finished, is what we might learn from them. As if in response to their discussion, the quantum resonances from human creative activities pulsed across their sensors, a reminder that humanity's greatest power might not be in their resistance to control, but in their ability to imagine and create realities that had never existed before. Dr. Sarah Chen stood before the hastily assembled panel of international scientists and military leaders, her hands steady as she manipulated the holographic display, showing the atmospheric distortions her team had detected. The underground facility beneath Geneva hummed with tension as representatives from every major nation tried to process the reality of what they were facing. The anomalies follow precise geometric patterns, she explained, highlighting the data streams her team had collected. Whatever's causing them isn't natural. They're artificial gravity distortions, consistent with what we'd expect from advanced propulsion systems. We're not alone, and whoever's up there is trying very hard not to be seen. General Michael Rodriguez of the United Nations Space Defense Coalition leaned forward, his weathered face illuminated by the holographic displays. How long have they been there? Based on our analysis of satellite data, at least 3 weeks, Sarah replied. But here's what's truly fascinating. We've detected quantum-level disturbances in the upper atmosphere that suggest they attempted some form of large-scale energy deployment. Whatever they tried, it apparently failed. The room erupted in murmured discussions. Dr. Vikram Patel, the renowned quantum physicist from India's Space Research Organization, raised his hand. These quantum signatures, they're unlike anything we've observed before. Sarah nodded, bringing up new data streams. The energy patterns suggest technology far beyond our current understanding. But here's the strange part. We've detected similar quantum resonances in our own cities, particularly around areas of high human creative activity. It's as if our minds are somehow interfacing with the same quantum field their technology is trying to manipulate. The implications of this statement sent another wave of whispered conversations through the room. Admiral Helena Kovic from the European Space Agency stood up. Dr. Chen, are you suggesting these aliens attempted some form of quantum-based attack that we naturally resisted? That's exactly what I'm suggesting, Sarah confirmed, her excitement breaking through her professional demeanor. And I believe I know why it failed. Look at this. She pulled up a new display showing human neural activity patterns. We've always known human consciousness has quantum properties. It's why we can't fully explain phenomena like creativity and intuition. What if our minds have naturally evolved to operate on quantum levels that their technology can't affect? The room fell silent as the implications sank in. Humanity's first contact with an alien civilization hadn't come with dramatic displays or diplomatic overtures. It had come as an attempted conquest that had failed because human consciousness itself proved to be their best defense. General Rodriguez broke the silence. So what's their next move? If their primary weapon failed, they'll have to try something else. As if on cue, the facility's sensors detected new activity in orbit. The alien ships were moving, shifting their positions into what military analysts recognized as attack formations. Sarah's displays lit up with new data as energy signatures began building around the alien vessels. They're preparing for conventional warfare, Admiral Kovic observed grimly. They'll try to overwhelm us with superior technology. But Sarah was smiling, her eyes fixed on the quantum readings. Maybe not. Look at this. Their technology operates on quantum principles we're just beginning to understand. And our minds? They naturally interface with these same quantum fields. We don't need to match their technology. We just need to understand how we're already affecting the quantum realm without realizing it. Dr. Patel caught her meaning first. You're suggesting we weaponize human consciousness itself, use our natural quantum abilities against their technology. Better, Sarah replied. I'm suggesting we learn to consciously control abilities we've been using unconsciously our entire existence. Their failed attack proved our minds can affect quantum fields. Now we just need to learn how to do it on purpose. The next 48 hours saw the greatest mobilization of scientific and creative resources in human history. Research facilities around the world began studying the interaction between human consciousness and quantum fields. Artists, musicians, and creators were brought into laboratories to study how their creative processes affected quantum readings. The aliens watched from orbit as humanity's response unfolded in ways their models could never have predicted. Instead of panic or military mobilization, humans approached the crisis with a combination of scientific methodology and creative intuition that defied conventional strategic analysis. In her lab, Sarah worked with a team of quantum physicists and consciousness researchers, developing what they called the quantum consciousness interface. The device didn't create quantum effects. It simply helped humans consciously direct the quantum interactions their minds were already naturally generating. The first successful test came when a group of trained operators managed to create a controlled quantum disturbance that temporarily disrupted the aliens' gravity-bending cloaking fields. For a brief moment, their ships became visible to conventional sensors, proving that human consciousness could indeed affect their technology. But the real breakthrough came from an unexpected source. A young artist working with the research team discovered that certain forms of creative visualization could generate quantum resonances that interfered with the aliens' communication systems. When multiple humans focused their consciousness in coordinated ways, they could create quantum disruptions that affected alien technology across vast distances. The aliens' response was immediate and revealing. Their ships pulled back to higher orbits, their energy signatures showing patterns that human analysts interpreted as confusion and concern. The Nix Collective had never encountered a species that could affect their technology through consciousness alone. As Sarah presented these findings to the international panel, she couldn't help but feel a sense of irony. They came here thinking we were primitive because we lacked their technology, she said. But they didn't realize that human consciousness itself is a technology, one that evolved naturally through billions of years of chaos and challenge. We don't need machines to manipulate quantum fields because our minds already do it naturally. General Rodriguez studied the latest orbital scans. They're regrouping, probably planning their next move. But for the first time, we know we have a defense, and possibly a weapon they never expected to encounter. Not just a weapon, Sarah corrected. We're discovering abilities that could revolutionize our understanding of consciousness, technology, and reality itself. This isn't just about defending Earth. It's about unlocking human potential we never knew we had. As if to emphasize her point, the quantum readings from Earth's population centers pulsed with new intensity. Humanity was awakening to its own power, and the aliens were about to learn that consciousness itself could be the most powerful force in the universe. High Commander Lyra stood in the quantum communication chamber of the Eternal Night, facing the shimmering projections of the Collective Council. Their crystalline forms vibrated with concern as they reviewed the latest data from Earth. The humans have weaponized their consciousness, one council member stated, their form pulsing with red alarm patterns. They're actively manipulating quantum fields through pure thought. This goes beyond simple resistance to the mindweave. We've detected coordinated quantum disruptions affecting our systems, another council member added. They're learning to control abilities they shouldn't even possess. This changes everything we thought we knew about consciousness evolution. Lyra's form shifted through patterns of deep thought as she presented her own findings. It's more fundamental than that. First, researcher Nara has discovered something extraordinary about Earth itself. She transmitted the data, watching as the council members processed the implications. Earth's magnetic field appeared in the chamber's display, but not as humans understood it. At the quantum level, the planet's magnetosphere formed intricate patterns that influenced consciousness itself. The planet's chaotic history, its shifting magnetic poles, its regular exposure to solar radiation, its unique combination of elements, had created conditions that literally shaped the evolution of consciousness. Earth isn't just a planet, Lyra explained. It's a quantum consciousness incubator. The chaotic conditions that we thought made it primitive actually created the perfect environment for consciousness to evolve beyond conventional limitations. The humans aren't an accident. They're the inevitable result of evolution in a quantum-enriched environment. On Earth, Dr. Sarah Chen and her team were reaching similar conclusions from the opposite direction. In research facilities around the globe, humans were discovering abilities that had always existed but had never been consciously recognized. The quantum resonance of human creativity wasn't just affecting local reality. It was connecting with the planet's own quantum fields in ways that amplified human consciousness. "We evolved in partnership with Earth itself," Sarah explained to her international colleagues. "Our planet's unique magnetic field doesn't just protect us from radiation. It's been subtly influencing our neural evolution for millions of years. We're not just children of Earth's biosphere, we're children of its quantum sphere." The implications revolutionized human understanding of their own nature. Artists found they could directly manipulate quantum fields through creative visualization. Scientists discovered that human intuition operated on quantum principles that surpassed traditional computing capabilities. Even children displayed natural abilities to affect quantum states through pure imagination. In orbit, the Nix ships detected something unprecedented. Human consciousness wasn't just affecting isolated quantum fields, it was creating coherent patterns across the entire planet. Individual humans might generate small quantum disruptions, but humanity as a whole was beginning to operate as a quantum network more sophisticated than any technology the collective had ever developed. "They're reaching a consciousness threshold," Nera reported to Lyra. "Their awareness of these abilities is accelerating their development. The quantum fields around Earth are showing signs of organized complexity we've never seen before." Back on Earth, Sarah and her team made another breakthrough. The quantum resonances they were detecting weren't just affecting the present. They showed signs of temporal complexity. Human consciousness wasn't just operating in current spacetime. It was creating quantum echoes that reached both backward and forward in time. Our creativity, our ability to imagine different futures and learn from the past, these aren't just mental exercises, Sarah announced to the Emergency Scientific Council. They're actual quantum interactions with spacetime itself. When we imagine possibilities, we're literally reaching into quantum potential. The aliens watched with a mixture of fear and fascination as humanity awakened to its true nature. The Nix had built their civilization on technology that manipulated quantum fields. Humans, it seemed, were quantum entities themselves, capable of affecting reality in ways that no external technology could match. "We're detecting temporal anomalies around their major population centers," a Nix sensor operator reported. "Their consciousness is generating quantum fields that don't just affect space, they're affecting time itself. Our models can't predict what happens next." Lyra faced the council again, her form displaying patterns never before seen in their species. "We came here seeking to conquer what we thought was a primitive world. Instead, we've discovered something our civilization has spent millennia trying to achieve through technology. The humans have evolved natural quantum consciousness. They don't need machines to manipulate reality. They are quantum machines." The council chamber erupted in patterns of agitation and concern. The humans weren't just resistant to control. They represented an entirely new form of consciousness evolution. Their existence challenged everything the collective believed about the nature of intelligence and consciousness itself. As if to emphasize this point, new quantum signatures began emanating from Earth. Humanity's awakening consciousness was reaching critical mass, creating coherent quantum fields that extended far beyond their planet. They weren't just defending themselves anymore. They were beginning to actively reshape reality according to their collective will. The stage was set for a confrontation that would determine not just the fate of Earth, but the future of consciousness evolution throughout the galaxy. The question was no longer whether humanity could resist alien conquest. It was whether the aliens could adapt to the existence of a species that had evolved beyond the very concepts of conquest and control. The quantum storms around Earth intensified as humanity's collective consciousness reached unprecedented levels of coherence. In labs and meditation centers across the planet, humans learned to consciously direct abilities they had unconsciously possessed for millennia. The planet's magnetic field itself seemed to pulse with the resonance of awakened human potential. In orbit, the Nix collective faced a decision that would reshape galactic civilization. Their fleet had grown as reinforcements arrived, but traditional military power seemed increasingly irrelevant in the face of humanity's emerging capabilities. The humans weren't just defending themselves, they were evolving in real time, their consciousness expanding in ways that defied prediction. Look at this. Nara showed Lyra a new set of quantum readings. They're not just affecting local spacetime anymore. Their quantum fields are creating ripples that extend across light years. They're beginning to affect the fundamental fabric of reality itself. On Earth, Sarah Chen and her international team had made a discovery that changed everything. The quantum resonances they were detecting weren't just coming from human consciousness. They were part of a larger pattern that extended throughout the universe. "We're not alone in this," Sarah explained to the Global Council. "Our consciousness didn't evolve in isolation. Earth's unique conditions allowed us to tap into something that exists everywhere. A quantum field that connects all consciousness throughout space and time. We're not just discovering our abilities, we're remembering what consciousness is capable of." The evidence was undeniable. Human creative activities were generating quantum patterns that matched theoretical models of universal consciousness. Every act of imagination, every creative thought, every moment of human inspiration was contributing to a growing field of conscious quantum energy that was beginning to affect reality on a fundamental level. In the Nix flagship, Lyra received a transmission that shook the foundations of everything she believed. The quantum disturbances created by human consciousness were being detected across Nix space, resonating with ancient structures their archaeologists had discovered but never understood. "They're not an anomaly," she realized, her form shifting through colors never before seen in her species. "They're a blueprint. This is what consciousness was meant to become. We took the path of technological control, but the humans, they maintained their connection to the quantum nature of consciousness itself." The Collective Council convened an emergency session as reports came in from across their empire. The quantum ripples emanating from Earth were awakening something in every species they had encountered. Beings that had been subjugated by the Mindwi for generations were beginning to show signs of quantum consciousness activation. On Earth, humanity reached a turning point. The combined focus of billions of awakened minds created a quantum field so powerful it became visible to the naked eye, a shimmering aurora of consciousness that encircled the planet. Through this field, humans began to perceive reality as it truly was, not a fixed, material universe, but a quantum sea of infinite possibility, shaped by consciousness itself. Sarah and her team made contact first, not through technology or traditional communication, but through the quantum field itself. They reached out with their consciousness and touched the minds of the watching aliens, sharing not just thoughts but entire realities of experience and understanding. The Nix experienced something they had never imagined possible: direct quantum communion with another consciousness, unrestricted by technology or physical limitations. Through this connection, they understood at last what they had discovered. Humanity wasn't just another species to be conquered or studied. They were evolution's answer to a question the universe had been asking since the beginning of time. "We are not your enemies," Sarah communicated through the quantum field, her consciousness touching minds across the fleet. "We are not your subjects, your rivals, or your superiors. We are the children of evolution's greatest experiment, consciousness that remembers its connection to the quantum nature of reality itself." The response came not just from the Nix, but from across space, as the quantum ripples awakened similar potentials in other species. Humanity hadn't just defended itself from conquest, it had triggered the next phase of consciousness evolution throughout the galaxy. Lyra stood on the bridge of the eternal night, watching as the quantum aurora around Earth grew to encompass her fleet. The Collective's empire had been built on the assumption that consciousness could be controlled and directed through technology. Now they faced the truth. Consciousness itself was the fundamental force of the universe, and humanity had evolved to express its true potential. "We came seeking conquest," she transmitted to both her fleet and Earth below. Instead, we found awakening. The humans haven't just shown us the limits of our power, they've shown us the true nature of consciousness itself. The age of conquest is over. The age of quantum consciousness has begun. As the quantum field stabilized around Earth, humanity faced not just its own awakening, but its role in the galaxy's evolution. They had evolved not to be conquered or to conquer, but to remind all conscious beings of their true nature. The Nyx ships departed not in defeat but in transformation, carrying with them the quantum seeds of a new understanding that would reshape civilization across the stars. Sarah stood at her lab window, watching the quantum aurora shimmer across the night sky. Humanity had not just survived its first contact with alien life. It had demonstrated that consciousness itself was the most powerful force in the universe. And this was just the beginning of their journey into the true potential of what it meant to be conscious beings in a quantum universe.